Thank you very much. Welcome to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly, everybody. I'm the Gary part, and she's the Kelly part. You probably knew that. We're glad you're here. Is everybody having a good time?
Yeah? Yeah? Those of you at home, are you having a good time?
Apparently they are. Apparently they are. This is a great morning, a very exciting morning. We've had, unless you ate the pudding. Then
stop with the pudding and let's get to our guests.
Look at this. This is brand new stuff. This is brand new stuff.
Is this out yet?
Yes, it is. It
is
came
that
out? Came out at the end of May.
Ah.
And we're already playing it. And better than that is the gentleman who's responsible for this is here. And I think I might go out of the limb and say probably the best dressed guest that we've ever had.
I think so too.
You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
You know what I'm saying? Let's. We're going to get to chat with him, and better than that, we're going to get to hear him play. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to David Benoit.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Right. Thanks so much for being here. That's David Benoit, everybody.
So
My pleasure.
He's here for the next hour. We're going to be right back on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Stick around with David Benoit. There it is. Welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly, everybody. We are Glad to have David Benoit sitting here with us.
Yeah.
Man, welcome.
Yeah,
This is
Gary,
awesome.
thank you.
This is awesome.
You're
Thanks for having me.
decked out in your summer wear.
Well,
This is like styling.
you said dress up, so
This is like on the
I
veranda.
got the memo.
We need a mint julep or something.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. That's
Yep,
right.
yep.
We need a drink with an umbrella in it or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And you would need more than that if you'd had the pudding earlier, but
That's
that's another story. This is a great crowd, isn't it?
It's
You gotta love this
fantastic,
room.
yeah.
We're so
Thank
glad
you.
to have you
Yeah.
back in here.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of listeners at home listening too. So we've got people all over the country and all over the world listening to this.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
Congratulations on the new CD. Another, just another interesting piece of work with some great people on here.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of all over the map. Tell us, really different. Again, you're kind of like a, I don't know, a stew of some kind with all kinds of different influences and things
Cornucopia.
coming in. Yeah.
You could say that.
Yeah. Tell us about Conversation.
Well, conversation, you mean about the CD? Or
Sure, yeah.
CD is just a whole, like you could say cornucopia, but all music that I enjoy playing, a lot of my own compositions. Now it's kind of fun in the music business because there's less control. I think the record company finally decided just do what you do, and that's what I set out to do. Here's a CD of what I do. I love to play jazz piano. I also love to compose. I like classical music, and I like to have good friends. And so I brought in a lot of my close friends to help me with this project, and we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
David Pack is an interesting and really talented guy, isn't he?
Yes, and he's your very own David Pack. He lives in Costa de Casa.
Yes, he does.
Oh.
Yes, he does. Yeah, exactly right.
Yes,
exactly
yeah,
right.
he's right here.
And you did a lot of work together on this particular piece, right?
Well, we worked together on a piece called the Napa Crossroads Overture.
that's the song I want to have an explanation on.
That song is part of a much larger project that he's doing, and he had approached me about it a couple years ago, and we went to Napa to the home of Jeff Gargiulo, one of the vintners up there, and wrote the Napa Overture for his project that he's working on with all these different
Wine
vintners.
is involved, I take it?
Wine is definitely involved in the financing and in the conception of the record. And I was looking for material for my album, and I came across the demo. I decided to listen to it. I said, wow, this is really nice. And I called him, and he was, well, I said, please, let me record this on my album. And as a result of me recording it, now he's back in touch with the Concord people, and they're going to make his record. So
Oh, terrific.
it's a real happy story. We had a concert last weekend with the Asia America Symphony Orchestra, the full symphony, and David came and played, and I guess I'll be giving you the solo piano version of that piece.
Yeah, good,
Just a moment.
good.
But, yeah, we're very excited about it.
How do you think of yourself? I mean, you're involved with so many different styles of music and kinds of music. I mean, do you when you sit down at the piano, what is your inclination? The first thing to come out of you? I mean, is it more, like a symphony type thing, or is it jazz, or where is it?
Well, that's the funny thing, because when I sit down to the piano, I never know what's going to come out.
Well, then we have that in common.
Yeah, Gary does that all the time when he gets behind the microphone.
It could be a groove piece. It could be something like I wrote a piece sort of has a Debussy type feeling, a very French sort of sound. It could be something classical, could be something modern and weird. Or it's always. I think with the piano, the acoustic piano, it might be more leaning towards melodic jazz as opposed to a lot of times I'll work directly onto the computer. That's probably getting much more of a groove-oriented, like feeling it, which is much more groove.
Yeah.
I usually like to start with some kind of a loop or something, but on the grand piano, anything can happen.
Interesting. You're very, and there are many folks that have gotten to where, similar places that you're in, but with very different paths. Yours is very traditional, educated. I mean, when did you get started on that journey?
Well,
Yeah, how old were you?
I was about 8 when I first started playing the piano, but oddly enough, a lot of people think I have music degrees and very educated. I'm actually almost completely self-taught. It's an
Really?
odd thing. But I think I was reading something about Woody Allen, people thinking of him as this incredible intellectual. He said, well, I actually just grew up drinking beer and watching TV.
No.
Not that I did that ever.
No.
That I believe. Hell, I could do that.
I learned how to play the piano by ear, and then I didn't have a piano lesson until I was 13.
Really?
So it was a real.
Did your folks play, or did?
My dad did. He was a jazz guitarist, so a lot of that rubbed off.
Yeah, for sure.
So your education went to a one-on-one piano teacher, or did you take it in school? Or
I had one-on-one lessons with a piano teacher, and he had a background in jazz, so a lot of my lessons were about jazz. And then I worked with a classical teacher in high school that was strictly technique and classical music, so I worked very hard on developing a classical technique. And then as I got older, I studied at UCLA film scoring, and then with the head of the conducting department was my longtime conducting teacher, Dr. Jan Robertson. So it's just been independent. I don't have a music degree, although I've thought about.
You took a lot of classes in music.
Yeah, a lot of classes when I needed them in music. Yeah.
So if you're talking to a young person about getting into music, talk about the educational aspect in regards to what they would need to do to, obviously learn music. If they have an ear for it, that's great, but educational aspect is also good too.
It is good, and also remember that when I was growing up, the music business was a very different place in the early 70s. And there were jobs everywhere, whether it was in a Holiday Inn 6 nights a week, playing in the lounge, or it was playing at someone's birthday party. Everybody needed live musicians.
Right.
And so, I paid dues for years, hauling my Fender Rhodes electric piano up flights of stairs and playing. As a result, and I think it's a good result that I know a lot of standards, a lot of tunes, because I did that. But I say nowadays for kids, now you really have to go into higher education. Especially, you need so many skills as a musician to be able to sight read, to compose, to arrange, to produce, like especially nowadays, video games, scoring. That's a huge industry now, and I encourage a lot of kids to go towards that. But it's not just
really writing the music
for video games.
Yeah, for
huge.
sure.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Isn't that cool? It's just no longer enough to be a good musician and be able to play great. You need much more in this real competitive society. And in fact, we're talking even off stage that I have a group, the Asia America Youth Orchestra, and I have the classical kids and the jazz kids all in the same orchestra. It's about 80 pieces, and I get them to get the jazz kids. Okay, you got to learn to. It's kind of it's two like totally different schools of thought. Me having lived in both.
Okay.
And
they get along?
Yeah, they do for the most part. Getting the jazz kids to play classical, getting them to sight read, getting the classical kids to swing, to learn how to that's actually harder.
Really?
But I had, like last year, I had a little violist, he raised his hand, he wanted to improvise. So I gave him I said, why not? And his first solo was a little, beginning. But he developed, and what's exciting is to see the kids get excited about music and be able to learn all kinds of music, because especially as kids, they tend to get segregated into one kind. Well, I play rock and roll, or I play jazz.
Yeah.
Play it all, man. Learn as a musician to play
my first
anything.
my first radio gig was on a country western station.
Cool.
How about that?
Well, darn tootin'.
Here she is today making pudding. So that's what exactly. Your own daughter June is on the new CD playing violin. 11 years old.
Yeah. And she's going to be 12 next week. It's her birthday. She plays on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, because she was the one that kind of inspired me doing that song. We had been to the movies.
I was just going to say, it was a movie?
Movie.
Yeah, it was a movie.
Well, it started off as a little book. How many of you have kids? You're probably familiar with the book. And then there was a movie made, and the soundtrack music sounded like Charlie Brown to me. So I had June come and play, and we set up a little portable studio in my living room, and she came and played. Yeah.
Sweet.
Very interesting. We are chatting with David Benoit, as you can probably tell. We're going to take a little break and come back, and he is going to perform a couple of tunes for us live. And so stick around here on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly with David Benoit. All right, welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly here, everybody. David Benoit is our guest.
I love this photo.
Thank you.
I do too. Here's what I love. One of the things about doing this show in this setting is access to this gorgeous piano, so that we can enjoy stuff like what you're going to do on it right now.
And the song you're going to play is?
It's the Napa Crossroads Overture.
Everybody
Co-written.
get your wine out.
That's
Get the
right.
wine out, get into the spirit, or champagne.
Yeah.
But this is co-written by David Pack, part of his project that'll be coming out in another year, and also your very own David Pack that lives just down the street. So
That's right.
I
That's
thought
right.
it was appropriate.
Very
David
nice.
Benoit,
Okay.
everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Very much.
I visualized myself with a glass of wine sitting in the back, chilling.
The song was longer than I expected, and I finished my wine too soon. Actually, no, that's not.
Well,
Did you,
you're supposed to imagine flying over the vineyards and this kind of motion that happens in the
Oh
song.
God!
Oh, they were all
Play it
drinking in
again
the
then,
back.
because I had something else totally different. No,
Okay.
can you? How about the Little Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Wow. Well, we
you
could
do
do
that
that.
too?
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to hear that one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Are there some kids in the audience? Okay, there's one. We'll get to that.
take a break and come back and chat a little bit more with David Benoit. Stick around here on Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Outstanding. All right, welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly. Apparently, everybody, we're I guess we're back on here. I don't know.
Are we back?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what the heck. We're back. David Benoit is here though. Thankfully, he's stuck around.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Those last two songs were awesome. Those are both off the CD.
Yeah, on the brand new CD. That's right.
That's right. Brand new one. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. You were a kid, 1976. How old roughly?
In 76?
Yeah.
No, I was 21 or 22, okay. Pretty young.
And you're working. You start working with Lainie Kazan.
Yes.
Now there's a nice way to start the thing off.
Yeah.
Wow.
How did that come about? I was not aware of that till I got into some of this before. You were music director for her.
Yes.
Listen to this. 21, 22. I mean, within how long was that whole period? Lainie Kazan, Ann Margaret, and Connie Stevens. Now, who are you trying to kid?
Well, that was my accompanying vocalist era of my career, and actually, I'm very happy to have had that because I do have opportunities, and I have one, in fact, coming up with Patty Austin, and I can put charts together and accompany singers, and it's a skill that I learned literally just by doing it. There was no class. I mean, I started with Lainie. I was a last-minute sub for a tour with the Duke Ellington Orchestra.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
So I got to play with the Duke Ellington Orchestra. We toured all through Canada, and I remember the first song was just petrified. I was shaking, and she walked over to me. She said, "Darling, it's in C minor instead of C major," and so. Okay, so I realized I hadn't looked at the key signature and sight reading, and I played it, and then, that's it. Yes, you're very good, and I was just this. Oh, wow. And then we did the next day we did a TV show, and she asked me to accompany her on that. I mean, absolutely just scared out of my wits. And
how did that come about? I mean, how did that phone call happen? I mean,
it was one of those things. I was playing with a few guys in a rehearsal band. We were playing, and one of the guys happened to be her guitar player.
Really?
They said, "I think you'd be good for her gig." So the guitar player called me. They said, "I've got an opportunity. Can you leave in 2 days for a tour?" I mean, it was immediate, and there was no prep. All through Canada.
Oh man!
And so I said, yeah. So I jumped in there, way into the deep end, and we actually formed a lifelong friendship. She and I are to this day very, very close.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But she had a gig at the Playboy Club. If you remember that in Century City, and boy, there were a few nights I'd get beat up. I guess that somehow brought us closer, but most of the other piano players, she'd swallow them up and spit them out, and I just kept hanging in there. Okay, I wasn't going nowhere, so. And I appreciate it because she hung in there with me. She could have easily gotten anyone else, but she hung in there, and I guess she saw the talent, so that became a really neat thing for us.
Sure. And Ann Margaret.
Ann Margaret. We went to South Africa together when it was still apartheid. It was a bizarre experience about 25 years ago, and so.
What kind of stuff was she doing?
Ann Margaret, I have not kept in touch with her.
But I mean, at the time, what kind of music
real
was she
big
doing?
over-the-top show business. She bought the entire orchestra from Los Angeles. She had all the dancers and a huge production. It was really something.
Oh, that had to be just a blast.
It was.
Especially at 20-something years old.
Yeah, very young, and she was really a nice lady, very easy to work with, so I give her a lot of credit.
When was it that you started on your own?
Well, there's sort of two answers to that. I actually made my first album in 1977. Some of you that really know my music might know of it, Heavier Than Yesterday on AVI. If you're from the Philippines, you do know about it. I say mabuhay to the Filipino fans because they are a huge part of my success. But basically, I got a call to go to the Philippines, and it was so bizarre because who am I opening for? What bar am I playing in? No, you're going to have a full orchestra, 3 nights
in the Philippines.
In the Philippines.
Okay.
So I went over there, was treated like a rock star.
Wow.
It was a real turning point. So when I came back here, and first thing I'm playing a casual, I'm not allowed to mingle with the guests, not even allowed to come through the front door, and the musicians, enter that way. And So it was a real turning point. I walked away from it. I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to be David Benoit, for lack of a better word. So
Really?
like the third
What
person.
were you over there?
Well, in the Philippines, that's the whole point. David Benoit didn't exist. It was David Benoit, and the
Really?
Philippines. Oh, David Benoit is actually somebody that's well known, and and that really turned my life around. And in fact, I literally moved out of the San Fernando Valley. I'd been there to kind of be close to all the studios because I was into studio work, and came down to and rediscovered my hometown of Manhattan Beach.
And so your first song that you wrote, do you remember that?
Well, that would have been when I was 8 or 9. Yeah.
You wrote a song at 8?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Do you remember it?
Vaguely. I mean,
Vaguely?
very.
Oh.
Yeah, it was kind of a little exercise, and I think I call it the 3-finger waltz because I used 3 fingers to play it.
How cute!
You could play that one, Cal.
I could do that.
Yeah,
You could do that one.
yeah. I could probably play a second of it, but
Talk about the association with the Peanuts, and I mean, I don't know that if that's something that you have grown tired of talking about at all. I mean, it's that whole. Those characters are so beloved, I think especially by our generation,
Yes.
and to be and to be associated so closely with that great music is, I think it's just wonderful. And those guys, Charlie Brown appeals
Lionel
to
ever
everybody.
get with Lucy?
Linus.
Linus, did he ever get with?
well, they were sister.
No, I mean Schroeder.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Sorry, I got my character.
That was a
Schroeder.
little weird. No.
Schroeder.
Wow, that was
It's
a
Schroeder.
yeah, right.
Schroeder.
Schroeder.
No.
Because she was in love with. She was in love with
It's
Schroeder.
like the Roadrunner and Willie Coyote. No,
Okay,
that'll
she never got him.
happen. But yeah, and I don't get tired of that. In fact, people ask me, "Do you ever get tired of playing Linus and Lucy?" No, it's something that is so almost immortal in a way. And again, so much of what's happened in my career has been happenstance or by accident. And Lee Mendelssohn's wife bought one of my records and said, I think this guy is the one. They were looking for a jazz pianist to
Really?
replace Vince Guaraldi.
Yeah.
Vince Guaraldi died. I had never met Vince Guaraldi. I had never had the pleasure. But they were looking for someone. So they tried me out on this mini-series. And they had Dave Grusin, Dave Brubeck,
Oh, wow.
George Winston, and Wynton Marsalis were the other composers.
Oh man!
Now that's a lineup.
But
All in the room at the same time and
Yeah.
a big playoff.
well, they each had their own show. It was like a mini series. So, and Lee Mendelssohn, just the nicest guy, a really nice guy. And somehow we just clicked. And so after that, he started hiring me. And I think probably most of it was that I was available. All those other icons of music were probably too busy to do it. So I hung in there, and then eventually got to meet Charles Schultz himself. Went up to his home in Sonoma, and it was just an experience I'll never, ever forget. Having been a fan, not just by playing the music, but a fan since I was 8. When Charlie Brown comic strip was on the LA Times on page 2, that's how, it would be 1960. And so I followed the strip, and I loved Charlie Brown. He was me, and I was Charlie Brown. That's exactly how I felt until I got to play the
I think we
piano.
all felt that way. I would have pictured you as Schroeder, though, but what the hell?
Well, I was never that serious. So it was really always about Charlie Brown. So yes, I'm very proud of that relationship. And in fact, if any of you are in Sonoma on November 3rd, a book's coming out on the life of Vince Guaraldi, and Mrs. Schultz, Charles's wife's invited me to play for that. I'm also in the book about his life, so very, very
Wonderful. What, do
proud
you know
of
what it's
that.
called?
I don't yet. I
That
have to
must be
speak to
quite
the
an
author.
honor.
Yeah, that's coming out in November, so
Wow.
that was a lot of fun to.
So do you
work on.
ever see any of those other guys that didn't get the gig and just kind of give them a neener? You know?
Well,
You should do that, really.
Well,
I would.
I know. I'd like to know Wynton Marsalis. No, I'm kidding.
He could take it. What the hell?
I'll say this: when I'd never met Wynton, and I've always, he's a very intimidating figure to me personally. He's so fabulous, and so when I finally did meet him, Mr. Marsalis, he looked at me, and I said, "It is such an honor to meet you," and he said, "Man, it's an honor to meet you." And the way he looked at me it's kind of like, no, this guy isn't, BSing. I mean, he's really saying exactly what he felt at the moment. So it was a really neat, we
Very
kind of
sincere.
became friends, and I am friends, very good friends with Dave Brubeck and of Dave Grusin. So The only one I've never met George Winston, but
Really?
he's also associated with Charlie Brown, and I know he plays the Linus and Lucy
for
theme
sure.
in the concert.
You have really gotten to work with so many wonderful people too. Who have you not worked with? I mean, for whatever reason. I mean, is there somebody kind of on you? Do you have a bucket list of a couple of folks that you gotta? I'm not sure that's the best term, but you know what I'm saying?
No, it's a term I hear more often than.
Right.
I've always been a fan of Pat Metheny.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that would be
Yeah.
a great
Well, he's here.
opportunity.
Bring him on, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
That would be. Now you
We're
got to
gonna try
show.
to get him to the bash.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what we'll do. We'll get you
Also-
guys at the bash.
Also love Yo-Yo Ma. I mean, I think
Oh,
one of the
man.
finest musicians.
Yeah.
And I hear, I have not met him, but I hear he's a really nice guy. And that always makes me feel even better about someone when I find out they're really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Wow.
great.
Well, there's the tour. You and Matheny and Yo-Yo.
No, there's.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I'm down with that
We
one.
could have them at the bash.
Ugh, yeah.
Hey.
That's
Get
all
on
we
the
need.
phone.
Nobody else.
We'll work on that.
oh
pretty
man,
cool.
that's a.
Quick question. When
Sure.
you first heard yourself on the radio, what was that like? Did you remember that day?
I do, and it was funny how things come full circle because there was a radio station called KBCA in Westwood, and they were the jazz station. There was no other jazz station. They played all jazz. The owner was a guy named Saul Levine,
Oh,
and
that
so
name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
because he bought K-Jazz
There you
3
go.
years ago, so
Okay.
he's back in radio. And people know now that I have a morning show. I do the morning drive on KJazz.
That's right. You're another one of those guys where the music business just wasn't cool enough for you. You had to.
I got a call from Saul out of the blue. This is Saul Levine. Just call me person. I want you to be a radio personality because I like.
Wow.
So this goes all the way back to I Was Heavier Than Yesterday. The name of the song was Seagull's Paradise. It was the last tune on the record. And I'm driving and I heard it and I was on my way to a casual. That's what we call them. I don't know if you know what that means. Casual?
Casual?
It's anything but casual. It's where a musician is, a pickup musician's hired to play maybe at a wedding reception or a bar mitzvah or a banquet or anything they just needed musicians for.
But you call it a casual?
They used
But
to
you
call
don't wear
them a
jeans and a
casual.
t-shirt?
No, you don't. That's why I never understood. But I was on my way and I got to the casual and I had my suit on and loaded my Fender Rhodes electric piano. And two of the musicians came up to me and said, "We heard you on the radio." That was bigger to me than hearing myself. That's cool, but the fact
Somebody
other
else heard it.
musicians had heard me, it was in the '77, and that really was a huge thing for me, and it really changed my life. I mean,
Yeah.
it really did.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the radio gig?
Yeah, and how is it behind the mic, huh?
It's
You like
fun. The one thing you have to get used to is when you make a mistake, it's done. You can't go back and say,
Oh, you get over that.
Yeah, yeah. I've had to.
Try making pudding.
I've had to get over
Yeah,
that
but you
fast.
haven't done that one. I'll tell you. Why don't we take another little break here, and we will come back and let you do what you do best of all.
All right.
Another little tune on the piano. David Benoit here. Stick around at Breakfast
Thank
with
you.
Gary and Kelly.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Gary and Kelly and David Benoit. Look at this handsome gent. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a pouty, pensive look, don't you think?
No,
it's not either.
I think it's
very distinguished.
It's very
It's
distinguished.
like, I wish
deep
I
in
had some
thought,
pudding
maybe,
right
yeah.
now.
We just don't put the pudding after all. It was really good. You can
It
have
was
some
really
more.
good.
Okay, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some left over. Don't worry. You know what I wanted to mention?
Yes.
We had Mark Desmond from High Hopes here. You're going to be part of that
Yes.
wonderful
Yes,
event coming
July
up.
That's right.
A week
22nd.
from tomorrow.
Yeah.
A week from tomorrow. Great organization, and boy, I tell you, it's not a bad way to help those folks out.
No,
Have
it
you
isn't.
played there before?
Many times.
With
You know,
Eric?
Eric is my longtime friend.
Oh, good.
I've
Yeah.
known him for many,
Yeah.
many years. And
Have you
Exactly.
played
so
High Hopes
great.
before?
I have
Oh,
a few
good.
times.
So you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So about maybe every other year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is a great piece of work. What are we going to hear from you?
Well, let's see. Maybe I need to play because we have an anniversary today.
We do.
So
Ah.
I need to play about 4 bars of Kay's song, because Kay is here, and
By
we
all
just
means.
celebrated 27 years.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
And
for you.
in honor of that, I re-recorded it on Conversation, a new
nice.
version. I'll play just a little bit, and then there's that other song that
What
you
other
might want to
song?
hear. If I can, I'll do two.
By all
Keep it
means.
short.
Good.
By
but,
all
yeah.
means. No, take as long as you
Okay.
want.
Oh, great.
David Benoit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
is outstanding.
We've had a request for one more. I hate to ask you, but
Well, depends on what it
can we
is.
squeeze one more out of you?
I think so.
Can
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
We're all dressed so darn
We're
nice.
all dressed up,
Can we
right?
get one more song?
One
What do you
more?
think? One more?
You're
Sure.
choosing. You're
Oh,
choosing.
okay.
Whatever you want.
Let's see.
If you play
So,
one
yeah.
more, we won't make you eat the pudding.
Oh, okay. I'd probably eat it anyway, but
Thank you.
no, thank you. Oh gosh.
It's such a pleasure to have you on here.
yeah.
It really is. We just are so
Yeah.
excited. Everybody's like going, play one more, please.
How about this is a little different, but just one of my favorite songs. It's by Dave Brubeck. It's called "Strange Meadowlark."
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Lovely.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go.
like-
Beautiful.
All
All
okay.
right. One
It's
more.
bonus
That's
track
it.
time. It's bonus track time. thank you enough. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so
David
much.
Benoit, everybody. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for coming. We'll see you next
Really appreciate it.
week.
We'll be back in, we'll be back here in a couple of weeks. David
Don't forget,
Benoit.
July 22nd.